Hello and welcome, everybody, as we enter the third and final day of the 2021 Spring RichRad Community Tournament. We have had a course of 3 days over this weekend worth of a double division bracket completion. Day 1 on Friday began with the lower SR division, where we have them now completing the grand finals today, while yesterday we had a stellar finish for the upper SR division, where it was tooth and nail for these two teams that were playing against one another. It was Category 6 versus Synergy, and honestly, Synergy put up a valiant fight, but in the end, on Map 5, Round 3, you had Category 6 claim the victory and the title of that upper division bracket. Now, as we're looking to see who's going to claim the grand finals for today, as you saw on the bracket just before entering in to see me here communicate this lovely format, it is going to be first to 3 being the grand finals, whereas prior, all of the upper and redemption bracket segments have been first to 2. So we get a little bit more of Overwatch today. And the big storyline here, at least between these two teams, is the fact that Tea Time got knocked out earlier in the winner's bracket, worked their way through the entire redemption bracket, defeating not only their original team that dropped them into the lower division, but also basically brought down Atlee6, who was also their big competitor. They were put there by Kraken ultimately and worked their way back, and now they get a even more exciting redemption round against them in this grand finals. Again, they had to work through Tsunami as well, who was a hard competitor that came in towards that second segment of the bracket. So there's a lot to unfold here, and yeah, I can tell you right now, Tea Time is pumped and ready to go to face off against our winning bracket team, the Krakens. And honestly, they still do get a redemption game themselves for all that are tuning in. If Tea Time manages to come back from the redemption rounds and take a victory over Krakens, we will be seeing another first to 3, allowing the same respectful opportunity for Krakens to get their redemption as well. And today, going into this, we do have the slight adjustment in the control map starting, which is going to be Ilios, as we're hopping in onto the map presently between these two teams. And like I said, I cannot wait to see what's going to unfold here. We didn't get a chance to see Krakens and Tea Time prior earlier in the week yesterday due to us having that upper SR bracket. But with today's, we are going to have that feature for these two to see who is going to be able to claim that title victory for this spring season. As we're entering onto Ilios first, you can already see that Tea Time is hovering over some interesting selections, looking to play the double bubble, something that they've adopted a little bit more recently. Typically, you've got Sammy, who plays that Reinhardt very, very confidently, adjusting to go into this type of matches. Krakens will take a little bit more of a closer look at. Onakona being the major captain here for this, leading the charge for the team, communication and organizing it. With this combination, you're going to have the McCree and the Mei, which is a very, very tactical meta pick. You do have the Reinhardt and the D.Va as well. Crossfire and Hang looking to play very close to that front position, already maneuvering onto the point since they do opt for the Lucio, whereas you have Tea Time bringing in this Brigitte, more so for a close proximity pick. You do have Lost getting an early takedown onto the Echo play. Cake Master does go down, Lost being a very big, significant player right now in this early fight, and the staggers just come through. Kraken manages to take this control point quickly due to that early pickup, and now you just have Tea Time looking to fall back. Biggest concern is making sure that that McCree is handled and managed. Patty has also a follow-up on the Lucio, taking down Jeremy, making sure that there's a little bit of a stagger once again. That's something that I did hear from observing last time, is that there was a little bit of a stagger from Tea Time, and that the picks were coming through to never really get a full 6 here. And you can see Kraken waiting on that inner wall, potentially, most likely going to synergize with Onakona with the wall to take that high ground as fire. Crossfire actually waits here patiently for them to peek this corner. Doesn't have the Earth Shatter. Nice biodate to come through onto Onakona, but again, when you've got that the cryo freeze, it's a great sustainability. The dive comes into the back. Sammy drops the bubble early, does have a lot of coverage. Just a flashbang flank comes through. Bionade there by Jeremy, and great assistance from Anna Banana in the back to keep them alive. And you're actually seeing a lot of pressure being forced onto Lost, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. T-Bull has been taken down, and Korean found out by Onakona on this Mei. There's still some worthy efforts being brought out here. Tea Time a lot more coordinated to keep that support support line alive so that they can long last into these control map fights. With 63% in counting, Kraken in a position now as the Primal Rage comes out for Sammy Miami, forcing back Crossfire, still yet to actually obtain that Fire Strike, having a really hard time getting into these close fights as this dislodgement from Sammy comes through, has to bail since the Primal Rage ends. Cakemaster duplicating onto that Reinhardt. 3 tanks is key here, but a counter shatter comes in by Crossfire. You've got Succulent with that immortality field to survive. Sammy does get a good pick onto Hang, though, making sure that it's only Crossfire here to survive. The supports have committed both into this engagement. Succulent against Patty, just working in tandem to get the extra damage, and the support allowing Krakens to hold on to this. And I can say that even though Krakens does have this 99% into the overtime, Tea-Time managed to really start to gain some synergy towards the tail end of this. Again, they're trying to adapt from the match that they had earlier yesterday against Krakens, and you can see that there has been some adaptation with their composition and didn't allow themselves to be caught out, as we saw earlier in the match, and found some great value. And the biggest thing, again, not allowing Lost to get just a hard carry pick. That's one of the biggest dynamics here. Lost got those early takedowns, which was very significant for Kraken, but Tea-Time banded together. You had Banana keeping very close eye on to Jeremy. Same thing with Cakemaster keeping it close as Forian looked for the flank with the Tracer to try and find an opportunity. And Sammy being that upfront distraction with the Winston, causing a little bit of disarray, and I like the fact that they're attempting to do that to put Kraken on the back foot. Now, as we enter in onto Ruins, you're going to see that Kraken is going to have a dynamic change. They're actually going to have Patty coming out on the Brigitte, most likely trying to anticipate that there is a Tracer play from Forian again, but with this being a very heavy Widowmaker type of compositional map, you actually are going to lose a little bit of value on this, but it's going to force Krakens to be a little bit more brawly towards that position. Succulent going to stick with the Ana and the double bubble, with Lost actually coming out here on the 76 and Onakona with the Sombra. Again, Sombra, very common to see on this type of map. High risk, high reward. Forian gonna get overwhelmed by Crossfire leading into this, getting a little bit of an advantage in the game of chess, seeing that there is potentially a Widowmaker play. Bionade comes out early, just overwhelming T-Bull up front. And again, those key ability plays can just really heavily overwhelm if you can land an ability like that. We saw that so much yesterday in our upper SR division, where there was multiple landings of this Bionade to get the value. So you're gonna have Krakens at least take this first, but with that response, Forian acknowledges there's no need to take the Widow here. You don't want to go into that Winston, even though there is some benefit of having the Widowmaker in some regards, because you want to pull away that tank. So you lose essentially Crossfire in the engagement towards the point, but if the kill comes through so quickly, it's not going to give as much benefit. So it's really, like I said, a high risk, high reward, and where that essentially energy from the opposing side is being focused. Forian taking down Onakona is a great lead into this. Numbers advantage for Tea-Time, pressing forward. The Brigitte up front does get bubbled by T-Bull to assist, and Crossfire has to force out this Primal Rage. Already getting it very early because of the damage. Great flashbang to shut down Crossfire. Is there an escape, though? Shots come out. Does just barely skirt by. And because of that Primal Rage, it actually buys enough time for Onakona to get back onto this. Lost, overwhelmed, does go down. 1-for-1 exchange. With Onakona returning, though, that's going to be the second DPS to give assistance. Nano comes out on the front line for Kraken. Gonna take a little bit of a nap here as Hang looks for a flank. You've got Forian. Correction, Cakemaster attempting to rotate around and actually get rid of Hang, so the tank line is down. You solely have Crossfire to work with, and the Deadeye in the pocket, waiting. 74% for Krakens. Patty coming out with the rally to give that extra support in the back. Primal Rage beautifully positioned to try and force back the supports, juggling to get them off the edge of the side, and you can just see the beating focus onto the support line. You do have the tactical visor coming out, but Sammy looks to completely shut it down as the grab has to be forced by Hang. Coverage here up front. Beautiful Bionade by Jeremy, but now a counter Bionade from Succulent. Both Anas on point with their ability use for that Bionade, but just falls shy. The timing slightly goes in favor of Krakens towards the end, and it's those slight micro plays between the two that can turn the tides. As we do now take a look at that play of the game for this matchup between the two. Crossfire will get it on this Primal Rage monkey. I don't know exactly if it's going to be the Primal Rage here, but we'll take a look. No, it's going to be that just Tesla cannon damage into the bio. This is that part where I was talking about. The Tesla cannon damage was there, and the sustainability from Jeremy holding onto that was critical, but the barrier came out just slightly seconds late from Sammy. Again, it's those micro plays. I have to give a lot of credit to Tea Time because they're managing to hold on strong through something that's very, very dominant by Krakens. Again, with their experience together in competitive play, just like Tea Time, they have, the ability to kind of work and synergize between one another, and really seeing how they'll be able to kind of change up the dynamic moving forward into this next map, which is going to be a hybrid. And again, Control is a unique beast in and of itself. It does play a lot more of a sporadic, brawly type of just scrappy skirmish overall. There is a lot of coordination, especially when it comes into the dive. You had Sammy demonstrating that Winston play up front a couple of times on the early map of Lighthouse and then entering into Runes. There was now the return coming out by Crossfire, who found some great value, especially with that grab synergy towards the end of it. If honestly you didn't have that Bionade from Krakens, that would have actually been a possibility to recover from Tea Time to push that into possibly a swap towards that overtime position. But as we're going to be entering into this hybrid map, we do have Hollywood, Kings Row, and Eichenwald as the 3 map selection here for Tea Time, which will then now give the opportunity for Kraken to choose either the attack or defending position. And, going into this, Oh, it's actually Kings. Okay, production just let me know. It is Kings Row. So we're going back to Scrims Row. I mean, going back to a place, almost thought maybe there would be a little bit of variation that Tea Time would want to bring their opponent either to Eichenwald or Hollywood, just because those are less common maps to see, to maybe put Krakens in an uncomfortable position, because since, again, Kings Row is such a typical map, but, to all, if they're comfortable on it, why not go there? And so that being done and said for this present time, I would not be surprised if we see a little bit of potential echo play could come out again, but it really depends on how Lost is going to be playing on this McCree again, because that's the one challenging thing. The echo does bring a lot of value into this map, especially if you've got, let's say, like an Ash, or you have potentially even, the Junkrat. That spam that we saw a lot yesterday on this map was very, very beneficial. So there's a number of different compositions that we can see coming out from either of these teams, and I would most likely lead to believe that Tea Time's going to stick to more so of that Reinhardt play that is a little bit more stronger on their front line with the synergy from Sammy and T-Bull. Could be changing it up, though. Again, we've seen a lot more of the double bubble from them. It's a little bit more utilization, I would say, because it's not that it's a bad pickup for them to try and go outside of their comfort zone, which we've seen more so that Ryan Diva or the Ryan Zarya. As we do enter now in onto the map of Kings Row, we will have Tea Time on the defense. So you did have Onakona from Krakens, the captain, choosing and leading to take the attack first. And as I commented, it's actually going to be that Reinhardt Diva. They'll stick with more so of that Sammy comfort pick on the Reinhardt, which is still a stellar play. Forian going to come out on this Hanzo, and Cake Master on the Junkrat. Again, this is a ton of spam damage. So Crossfire is going to need to be extremely careful so that shield does not get completely reduced to nothing. While at the same time, though, Hang on this Zarya is going to be getting some seriously high charged, if timed very proficiently, on their usage defensives. Now, with the Widowmaker coming out early, looking for a dome, Lost wants to find some value here, already pushing out onto that open balcony. Sammy needs to be extremely careful, but the swap's going to come through. Lost is going to adopt to change up the composition, not going to want to stick onto the Widowmaker, again, only abandoning after the couple of shots come through, with Onakona and McCree from Lost being, once again, that May-McCree synergy. It's something that's very, very common right now. Not surprised. They stick very closely to what the meta is. The one thing, again, is I do have to comment, is Succulent is working on this new patch of the Baptiste where it is no longer sustaining health values at the 20% versus the 10, which you might have watched earlier in Owl, where it did continue to be that 20% since it has not taken effect yet in Pro League. With now 3 minutes to go, you can already see that Kraken's going to take the Gladiator wraparound right now that we've seen the long way around, as you might hear from the dwarf from Lord of the Rings. We'll take the long way around. as now they can be ready for it. They had the sight lines. Here's the engagement. A lot of damage funneled through. Cake Master responding beautifully. The May wall comes to divide, and you almost get Sammy taken down, but what a beautiful response coming through. Jeremy managing to get that immortality field out, completely keeping the team alive. Krakens, though, not yet being completely taken down, and with Sammy eliminated, you lose that frontline tank. Cake Master trying to face off against this May. The concussion mine is there, looking to just ricochet another grenade off the wall. Can't manage to do so. Lost takes down T-Bull, and despite a beautifully defensive hold initially by T-Time on the high ground, Krakens are going to be able to persevere, managing to get that third tick, and will actually be able to transition this into the payload phase. I mean, again, I have to say, for that long-winded rotation, it did yield a lot of value from Krakens, but they were not easily able to take that high ground position. They losing Crossfire was the biggest challenge. They overcame it. Onakona also holding on to that cryo freeze for as long as possible. And I mean, it was just really just those subtle micro plays like I'm talking about. Very, very close in the changeover here is where now T-Time has the Shatter going into the bookstore. Great assistance with the Immortality Field coming out by Succulent in the back. Sammy gonna look for a charge out of there, but does get locked into the Blizzards. The Immortality Field comes out in the back, is lost. Looks for a flank. Crossfire gets the front position, and now you're gonna have Lost getting taken down by Cake Master, but there is already so much damage done that this payload's still gonna push. Cake Master tossing up that Riptire to take down one. Crossfire. The Staggers, if they can continue to come through here for T-Time and not allow this payload to continue to solidify a position forward, they should be able to hold on to it. But again, 4 minutes into the time bank, leading into this Furnace phase, you've got Fulrian looking for that Dragon Strike to attempt to maybe divide and conquer Krakens, but the ultimates start to stack up. Hang and Crossfire with their ultimates. You've got the wall actually going to block a little bit of sightline, so I don't know if they're completely ready for it. And you've got Sammy solo up front. Again, that Immortality Field attempting to keep them alive. Support from Patty comes out with the Sound Barrier to keep Krakens healthy, though there is a significant amount of damage being tossed out because of T-Bull self-destruct, but the execution onto Crossfire comes out. Onakona and Lost very low, so much reliant on Patty since you lost Succulent in the Baptiste play, and with Hang up front, 100 energy, the grab comes through. Sammy manages to sustain, but the Dragon Blade seconds after gets the quad. And again, you just see these subtle shifts. Like, it really is like T-Time coming in to counter it, and then Krakens just has one more ace up their sleeve to finish it off. And again, that's that patient play of ultimate economy. Now, with 4 minutes and 20 seconds still to go, Krakens up top, continuing with that Genji to get some shuriken damage and try and get that ultimate once again for this finish to push the remainder of the way. Orion getting some decent shots here to try and shut down Lost, but again, with that double jump and mobility, it's being very challenging to land those. With now Succulent getting the amplification matrix, focusing damage down the choke. T-Time going to play very responsive as Florian has to bail on the high ground. Lost looking for a flank, does get low, has to abandon. The Earth Shatter comes through by Sammy, but doesn't get anything. You've got Florian, the only one going down in the back, and does get picked up by Crossfire with the Immortality up front from Succulent. Patty, super low, barely survives as Onakona drops the Blizzard onto the point to secure that nobody from T-Time is going to manage to get here, and that's going to be a 3 minute and 40 second in the time bank for Krakens over T-Time. And to be honest, that's a pretty decent time bank. It's not, I would say, like record-breaking, but it's still a decent time. And again, a lot of that time was lost all the way at the initial start, where you spend a lot of that committance so that you can get to that rounded position where you can find an even playing field on the high ground. T-Time still responded to it, but drew off a lot of time as well. Entering now on the reverse side, we're going to have Krakens on the defense with T-Time on the attack. And with this kind of composition, I would not be surprised to see the same thing. The wavering away. Oh, look at how just broken apart this room is. It was so nice, but you know, these teams are rough on the books. Well, the register's actually just completely gone. Oh no, there it is. There's the register to the left. There it is. Production. Just being my cameraman right now. Just getting everything I need. Just what's on the bottom? What is that? Gallon? Oh, it's got the brand name on it. Okay. Anyways, as I am distracted like a squirrel with so many nuts in front of them on a nice spring morning, we have Krakens, as I said, on the defense, and it looks like it's going to be Onakona coming out on the Symmetra here. And with that selection, it's more so looking to try and have a defensive hold by that doorway. Turrets are going to be placed there so that once Sammy presses forward, most likely with this Reinhardt, there's going to be that beam damage and just a lot of focus fire here. Surprised that they actually didn't go more so for like the Junkrat funnel, or potentially even, which, with the symmetry, you get the Bastion every now and again. But Fulrian's actually going to opt to go for the teleporter as well. They're going to try and take this wide range position. You've got Cake Master on this Mei, who has actually done very, very significant work before between these two. This mobility coming through quickly. You do have Ana Banana managing to get a lot of utility for this team to try and find it. And again, it's these slow, methodical plays, but lost to the side angle, getting some decent shuriken damage. The destroyed sentry turret and also the teleporter is going to be challenging. There's the Bionade to land. Is there a recovery? And a sleep comes through. Jeremy does get the immortality field out, but now you have lost that ability and fail-safe to survive through anything that might come through. But Krakens doesn't have that. They've opted to go for this Lucio Ana play and don't have the immortality field of their own. T-Time slowly waiting to drop in. Again, already a minute off the clock, but it will be worthwhile as a D-Mech unfortunately comes through onto T-Bull. You lost the mech. So now you have to wait. A Bionade! Oh, beautiful timing on that immortality field again to keep T-Time team alive. Wall going to continue to block off loss. The hardest challenge is now you're approaching ultimate. Teleporter comes through to the cross position, and Sammy goes down by Hang. It was a matter of time. You can do so much to withstand it, but now the ultimate economy is going to be generated in favor of Krakens, since there's just so much being peppered into this. So now you're going to have to really start to manage this economy from Lost and also Onakona. Oh, but there is actually a disconnect, so we will pause now that the match has been, or the fight has been completed again, following the standard rules of where the fight will come to a completion before pausing that map. It looks like we did lose the support player, Patty. So we are going to head so far to a pause for the time being, just give them a moment to attempt to reconnect. And we'll see if they'll be able to get back in. That was one problem that we actually had yesterday. We had a player that was unfortunately unable to reconnect, so a point was favored due to the rulings of that 5-minute technical difficulty challenge. So going into this, we'll see exactly how they'll be able to get back into it. Looks like it's going to be quick, actually. We've got that quick scene change back, so Patty is back online. And the one thing to take advantage of right now is Krakens have actually lost their ultimate economy for Patty. You no longer have that. And I actually really like what Cake Master is going to be doing. Cake Master is going to come in with this far a play since they do not have the hit scan. It's solely going to have to either be Succulent or some miraculous play by either Lost, as you've got the Shatter coming through by Crossfire, does only get one. T-Bull is recovered, though Sammy gets hit by the Bionade, has to play cautiously as the Immortality Field is there. Lost now going in, since that Immortality Field is dropped onto the field. Doesn't actually get as much value, I think, as they would have liked. They still get two here. Both supports are down, and finds the follow-through onto Cake Master just underneath that archway so that you have a reset now for T-Time. But you forced out the Nano. You forced out the Dragon Blade. You also have the Earth Shatter gone. No longer having it. So you're just solely relying now on Onakona's Photon Barrier and the Graviton from Hang. T-Time in a position now with the Earth Shatter to lead into this. Ana Banana also getting close to that Valkyrie to use the damage boost up high onto Cake Master, since they honestly, Kraken has not opted to go to the hit scan. So it's do or die now for this minute and 20 seconds. Kraken not out of this just yet because they have to be careful as Fulrian swaps to this McCree play to get the hit scan to try and get that flashbang, the crowd control to stop Lost and just prevent them from getting any more value in the back line if they do seek to do so. 40%, the Earth Shatter comes through, does get blocked. Photon Barrier comes out by Onakona as Lost gets the dash reset onto Sammy, continuing to get that shuriken damage on the back as the grab comes out. Okay, that's fine. 55 seconds. You have the ultimates. No, Ana Banana's going to commit the Valkyrie here. You lose T-Bull. An attempt to get that player back up and topped off as Sammy looks to return. No ultimates available right now for Krakens. It's literally going to have to be the sound barrier from Patty to hold on as the res comes through. T-Bull back in the fight. This is a 6. Fulrian now so low on the backside as the amplification matrix comes through. A fire strike miraculously pops off, and Cake Master now takes down Onakona. Patty not yet having this sound barrier, which again, as I talked about, the disconnect is such a critical loss for Krakens, and you've already gotten one tick. Now looking for the second. You've got this rocket barrage primed and ready as the Shatter comes through from Crossfire, managing to get T-Bull. The Immortality Field is there. You've lost your Baptiste and your main tanks. Ana Banana in the back trying to just bob and weave. You see a recovery here from Krakens. T-Time was able to push forward, little bit of a separation. The hesitation on the rocket barrage there doesn't allow the tanks to be brought down. The seconds dwindle, and Krakens now in the overtime will be able to hold on. But T-Time still managing to just come out with the ideas of swapping. They're reading their opponents. Kraken just playing a little bit more of that tighter game, knowing their composition, and when to get these picks. Again, that's still something that's very substantial for Krakens, is they're getting the pick potential early. They're finding that value, and loss being, again, a huge factor here, which, again, had the Dragon Blade going into this grab, which was a big momentum shift as well going into Furnace, which typically is more so that challenging position of King's Row to complete in. So getting that momentum, having the quad, it was very substantial for them to have that to carry in, to continue gaining that time bank, and also never really allowing Tea Time to get a stable footing in that home stretch. But with that being said, again, this is first to 3, so there is an opportunity now for Tea Time to be able to gain their redemption once again with a reverse sweep. It's a tall order, it's a high mountain, it's a Herculean task, but they are up to it since they are continuing to adapt to try and take down this team of Krakens. But before we get that underway, we will head to a brief break to allow just a moment here between map 2 and 3, so don't go anywhere because we'll be back in just a moment, my friends. Hello and welcome back, friends, as we are here now on match point for Krakens over Tea Time. But again, Tea Time has definitely accelerated themselves, as we've seen in previous matches and from some of the discussion of our observers of the off-stream match. They're going in the right direction, and they find themselves in a position where it's now do or die to attempt to claim this victory here over Krakens. But again, as I said, a Herculean obstacle lies ahead, not only for the reverse sweep, because again, they'd have to face off against Kraken, allowing Krakens to get their redemption round as well. The road is long, but the hopes are high, with a light at the end of the tunnel, only seeing if it's going to be there close enough for Tea Time, or it will be a short-lived ending for Krakens as we do enter the map of Junkertown. Now, with this map of Junkertown, we're going to be seeing Krakens on the attack first this time. Once again, Tea Time opting to go to this map gives Krakens the chance to choose the selection of either attack or defense. So entering onto this, one of the biggest things I'm going to look at right now is the composition, the tank lineup here for tea time, which is going to be T-Bull coming out on this Hog and having it synergize with the Sammy Miami Reinhardt play. A little bit more of a unique option coming out here. There is a lot of pick potential with that hook, getting isolation onto the opponent, especially if you're going to have Onakona come out here. You need some type of crowd control, whether it comes from Cake Master or it's going to be coming from that Roadhog, who can honestly hook the Tracer, but you have to be so on point to try and get that advantage when you're looking for an engagement. And you actually see Patty also as well going on to this Brigitte to see if there's anything that they would need. Again, that very close proximity. And a Zenyatta. Succulent going to come out with that Discord Orb, getting a lot of extra damage onto Sammy. You could already see how quickly that shield can go down with that being placed, especially onto T-Bull, who does have a take a breather, does get stunned to the back. Crossfire on the Wrecking Ball does get a lot of harassment in the rear, but you do actually have 1-for-1 trade. Lose the main tank, though, for the support. That is not something you particularly would like to favor, but with Anna Banana having that Mercy here, could possibly get the res as long as there's enough space granted, and another 1-for-1 trade. Still having this payload continue to press forward. You've got Lost getting some nice harassment with a takedown from Succulent onto Forian, the Widowmaker in the backside. Tea Time attempting to try and rotate back to survive with what they can here, as you've got the Reinhardt blocking the shield. Lost up front. The hook actually going to be deflected. Nice pin for the side angle from Sammy, saying, I'm tired of you, Lost. Now get lost. You've got that pick coming through. It will still be this payload reaching the checkpoint. You can have that Wrecking Ball Crossfire jumping into the side room near where that pack is, and Hang's going to keep up on this Sigma play. Again, Sigma being a very unique composition with Crossfire. Discord Orb once again onto Sammy, though, and has to be careful not to be overwhelmed. Now with this blade coming up, you need to look for something that is going to try and counter it. Something that myself and staff were looking at is attempting to try and find what can counter these ultimate economies. But Forian and T-Bull coming in with the whole hog and the double kill, actually shutting down Krakens is a great way to start into this. Lost going to play it very far back. You do have, again, the Blizzard to potentially isolate that Dragon Blade if it comes in to slow the momentum, prevent it from getting value, which it has been multiple times now. Quad kill once prior on King's Row. With this 4 minutes and 30 seconds. The payload now just below underneath the archway as Lost looks for a flanking opportunity to get some vision on the support line and even just Forian, but has to be careful. Forian's been really keeping an eye on where Lost is, and again, with that flashbang, if the dive comes through, you can actually see it forced out onto Crossfire, but with that flashbang down, that's an opportunity for Lost to potentially dive into the back. Both the Pulse Bomb and the Dragon Blade available now, and stacking ultimates here. Pulse Bomb comes out by Onakona, doesn't get the pick. Dragon Blade up front, going into the back, trying to find it. The Sleep Dart does fall shy. Bionade comes through to heal, but still can't survive. There is a worthwhile attempt. Forian gets the Dragon Blade stopped towards the end of it, as Forian's actually knocked back and stunned. Can't get the Deadeye to follow through, as a worthy attempt defensively comes out. Sammy brought back into the fight. Anna Banana getting a swift res here. And with this 3 minutes and 50 seconds, you see Krakens looking to press forward. Minefield comes out onto the big man. T-Bull does get surrounded as Sammy unfortunately gets divided with the minefield. And this pile drive in the back does get some great assistance to just dislodge this defensive position, not allowing any sort of footing, which we talked about earlier, where it's constantly just trying to stabilize. And now this aggressive forward momentum by Onakona, already having that Pulse Bomb, does get shut down. Cake Master now joining the party, saying that I'm going to stop your dashes, ducks, dives, and dodges. 3 minutes now, but approaching this next one. Cake Master looking for the high ground, though. Might drop the Blizzard on top. Does so. Looking to try and lock a few in. Crowd Freeze comes out a little early defensively. Does not want to get stunned into this. Nice op with Icicles onto Lost, but the Harmony Orb is there. Couldn't get the dome because of the angle, since the torso was blocking the sightline. Had to really, really be careful to look for those shots. But ultimately, the Blizzard is a fight win here, but the supports have actually been eliminated. Onakona hyper-focused on the back line, despite the early advantage that Tea Time was going to take with the Blizzard. And Krakens once again persevering, as they've got 4 minutes now to work with going on to this final segment with that basically stack full of treasure on the cart. I'm not gonna lie, I'd actually like to know how much value that is in Overwatch currency. It'd probably be a lot. I mean, there is TNT on it. My production is telling me that I should be very cautious because it does have TNT on it. I mean, I get the story, and I know that it's there. But to be honest, I'd still want to know. Because I'd probably at least try and weasel away a bag or two. As you've got 3 minutes and 45 seconds, still looking to peel the corner here. T-Bull in the back looking to just get some decent shots onto it. Has to fall back for the take a breather, looking to generate as much energy as possible. Now you've got the Flux in the back. Hang gonna look for a rise and fall. Does fall shy. The Cryo Freeze is there. You've lost the defensive nature from Cake Master as the minefield comes out. Beautiful flashbang, but is there the follow-through? Does come through. Jeremy with that brig gets the play to shut it down as the res comes out onto Forian, attempting to dwindle this time bank with the numbers back in favor of Tea Time. The High Noon looking for a shot in the sightline around the corner, but Onakona in the back. Gonna get, once again, crowd controlled by Jeremy on this support play from the brig, which is a huge pickup. A lob of a grab might have been a little bit of an overzealous play. Could have kept that into the next one since the fight was over. But we'll see now. There is still a stack to be had. It is Cake Master nearing this blizzard. You do have T-Bolt with that whole hog. You have Jeremy with also that rally. So there is quite a bit to work with and rotate. Now, as Onakona takes the high ground, looking to harass with the Wrecking Ball, needs to be extremely careful not to get picked up here, because again, this is that challenging position when it comes to Junkertown. It is so hard to push around this inner bend because of just the positional advantage that the defense gets. Cake Master takes down one, T-Bull gets another. That's a stack, a stride, and this is where ultimate economy is going to be key. You can see Tea Time just funneling these into their back pocket, waiting to use it. Lost is acknowledging that there needs to be a compositional switch here, no longer on the Genji, can't seem to find the value. Sacrifices the ultimate percentage gained, but at this point, the swap is needed. It has to come out in this last bit because you need to get some kind of crowd control to shut down as well. Jeremy's been a great job on this brig with the shield bash to reduce the Wrecking Ball from escaping, Onakona from having just free reign in the back onto Anna Banania, and even Forian. You now have that bash come through again. Beautiful play. Again, this is stellar dynamics from Tea Time as the rally. Gonna come out with Blizzard as well, stacking it, but the Transcendence is there by Succulent, holding on to that specifically for the ultimate to try and track it, as now Sammy Miami in the front does get back online. Still has some shields to recover with as a minute and 30 seconds continue to remain for Krakens, but they're reaching the home stretch now of this potential final fight territory. They should get 2 more attempts here if they are quick, as Onakona bails out and waits for a full regroup with 6. And now with this, you've got Hang being just slightly delayed as we enter back in. Minute and 14 seconds. Crossfire on the high ground with that minefield. Looking to potentially lead into it with a nice pile drive underneath. There's a little bit of observation. The high ground obtained by T-Bull. And I really like this. That's some great damage. Minefield actually going to go way in the back here. I think a little bit out-positioned. Unless there's going to be some kind of force and aggressive position by Kraka to draw them back, but that minefield's not really going to get too much value. Essentially just opening up the field for the time being, as Sammy's a little bit caught out in the open, but you've got the whole hog, and the Deadeye committed to this, needs to hold on to the remaining support ultimates. Anna Banana, I'd love to see you wait and not use it. There's a recovery, but it might just have to be forced out. The Flux is there. You do get a stun, so Hang doesn't get that double tap onto Sammy, but it's still going to be a follow-up here coming out by Lost. 1-for-1 trade. You've lost the tank for the DPS. Onakona doesn't have the pulse bomb, so there is a chance still for the recovery by Tea Time, with the Valkyrie going to be there by Anna, making sure that you've got the res and the heal so that Tea Time can survive through this with now only 15 seconds to go. If there's a stagger now, the grab, actually, I'm liking this, but there's no follow-through on the corner, and the Immortality field is there before Succulent goes down. And with that, buying some time, it gives actually enough for Cake Master to come back in with the Blizzard, but you've lost that fight winning ultimate. Can Kraken come back into this in desperate plays? The overtime dwindles. Crossfire looking around the inner side to keep it into an overtime. Does manage to do so. The break is there by Jeremy. Has the rally. There should be enough to sustain. Nobody's going to be able to get back to the full 6 from Kraken, even though, again, you've got Lost switching onto the Echo to jump in. And it's just going to be one pick after another. And finally, Tea Time has stopped the bleeding on this map of Junkertown. With some well-coordinated plays, they managed to make the swaps that were necessary, and also controlling more so a few of the ultimates that were brought out by Krakens. The one thing, again, really needing to try and elevate is countering that ultimate economy and knowing how to address it when it is being unleashed. Specifically also just Onakona getting taken down. I feel like Onakona should have swapped a little bit earlier from the Tracer. It was having a lot of trouble with Jeremy in the back on this Brigitte, just constantly finding these stuns, never getting value. The pulse bomb was holstered for multiple fights for Onokona and could never drop anything on their opposing side. So that's one thing that I at least noticed from Krakens that could be refined a little bit here and looking for that swap. Lost went in the right direction. They acknowledged that the Genji wasn't working. They had to switch to something different. And now with the defensive position for Krakens, they're going to come out with this Lost Symmetra play once again. Onokona going on to the Mei. And still going to keep the similar tank lineup, though. Not going to waver away from that, at least from what they've typically done in the meta composition. They had that Sigma Wrecking Ball last time to be a little bit more aggressive, harassment in the back line, also having that Flux for finding an opportunity. And it looks like we actually have a disconnect once again from Patty. Those connection issues could be one of those things that are problematic. As again, we're going to go ahead here to a brief pause to allow them to reconnect. And I mean, at least this point, Patty managed to have it happen when they don't have an ult economy, so that's a little bit better, and something to really keep an eye on. So, you know, going into this though, I'm looking to see at the attacking position. It's going to be tea time here. Cake Master on the McCree, with Florian on the Widow. So this double hit scan, again, we don't have 100% confirmation just yet if that's going to be the composition that they will roll out with. As we go to my face, we immediately go back into game. So those subtle disconnects, you know, maybe it's just a little bit of stormy weather coming out, a Category 6 storm that's still coming up from yesterday. See what I did there? As we causing some internet issues for Patty. Maybe they were close in proximity. As we now have the doors open, we'll look to see a close hold here by Krakens, as you do have this very, very aggressive placement. They just want to run the clock early, as now you've got Hang taking down Florian. You can see Cake Master looking for some sightlines on the high ground. Again, looking to try and push back. As Krakens with this, this is a very, very aggressive position. But again, it's something that we see typically when it comes to an escort map where you do have it. And now a Bastion's actually going to come out by Florian. I was just waiting to see if anybody was going to opt to do it, but nobody's going to push out into it. Patty gets a takedown onto Cake Master. If there is a few picks that come through onto Kraken, it's going to allow T-Time to get the early advantage. But this is something we see even on Route 66. We see it on other escort maps as Watchpoint Gibraltar, where you do have that closer front position that you take so that you can look for a solid regroup of 6. Cake Master acknowledging where that teleporter is. As Patty goes down, you've lost a support. That's key because it's a long way to get back. But of the two supports, it's better to lose that Lucio because of the movement speed to get back into this. Now with the turrets repositioned, Res going to come through by Anna Banana, slept up top, so Hang can't. Well, there's a little bit of damage placed onto it, so Hang does get back online. And now with so much being funneled into the doorway here, you've got that photon barrier trying to be blocked into the front position. Kraken's now just playing a completely aggressive game as Onokona waits, has the Blizzard, has the wall. At this point, maybe I'd like to see a little bit of a Sombra play coming out and maybe getting a hack from T-Time to potentially lock down maybe that protective shield from the Reinhardt to get those sightlines. The whole hog going to be active, finally coming through to aggress forward, forcing back Krakens. The shield is low and actually a lot of restraint from Krakens. Onokona finally goes down. The Blizzard is not there. It's this moment now. You have to have T-Time press out. It's already been 1 minute and 45 seconds off the clock. Photon barrier comes through. T-Bolt gets the nano and looks to generate some extra damage up front as the self-destruct zones back from Hang. The payload starts to move forward, which is slightly critical for this, but again, you just have to get out of this choke point. You're in such a terrible position and finally managing to maneuver. Lost looks to fall back with the teleporter, and T-Time has broken free of these constraints so that they can start pressing towards the payload, but you have to be so cautious. Crossfire up front with the Earth Shatter, also having that Blizzard. Numbers advantage finally in favor of T-Time in the long haul as Florian sticks on the Bastion because the tank configuration is here, and now you've got the Reinhardt shield, but again, you're not looking to double sail. You have T-Bull still on this whole hog with a 55% to the ultimate, which was already used in that previous engagement. Minute and 30 seconds, waiting for this dive. The biggest challenge right now is what do you have to counter the Blizzard? It's going to have to be Anna Banana looking for a Valkyrie to fly overhead, keeping distance outside of the sphere. Oh, the eat! Oh, it's not going to be there. Correction, it's going to be one of those things where the Blizzard, there's no eat. I'm looking at the Diva from the opposing side. I saw it and just so typically aware of that, but you do have the Blizzard managing to dislodge. You have now the Banana coming out with the Valkyrie to try and sustain on the high ground. The payload has ceased. It's 55 seconds to go. And now it's going to be last fight territory here for T-Time. Those couple of picks and a pin in the back. And ooh, looks to try and clean up. Finally will. Now, as you can see, looking, are we gonna get the overzealous position by crossfire up front. Succulent goes down. Vorian finds the pick. That's huge. You cannot solely rely on Patty with the Lucio. The tank configuration comes through. Damage on the front side, attempting to find some value as the self-destruct is tucked around the corner. Vorian goes up top, does still get clipped. Oh, that was literally, it must have been a nut and a bolt just hanging over the edge to get taken down like that. Beautiful grenade comes out from Jeremy, though, to put both Hang and Lost in a challenging position with Vorian now rezzed and brought back into the fight. Attempting to take down that Lost Genji play, but it is such a challenge finding this position to... Oh, no, and the flanking crossfire comes around the back. The seconds dwindle. A pin is there, attempting to get to T-Bull, but T-Bull surpasses it, and Sammy does go down. The amplification matrix is there. Onakona is going to have to force Cryo Freeze that. Oh, Dragon Blade might just be able to sheathe this match. The overtime dwindles, and Kraken's forward position with their resilient play manages to take this 3-0 over Tea Time. But again, what a match to be. Seeing Tea Time go all the way through the losers redemption round, back to compete against their team that was originally the one who dropped them into it. It was quite a match between these two, but Kraken claiming the victory here. And look at that, we got play of the game for Forian. Again, Krakens may have won the war, but there were sure some battles in there that were highlighting Tea Time on the lower end of it. But as I have said, this is the victory here for Krakens, claiming the grand finals. What a scary, scary team. They had some moments of weakness, but again, were able to bolster their morale and continue their dominance into this grand finals. And from all of us here on the broadcast, this whole weekend has been a spectacular one. I'm going to be honest, I am just excited that all of these teams participated. I know it has been, as I said at the top of the broadcast, on Friday, day one, some time since we've had this, and I would love to do this more often. I really, really do. It's been crazy with collegiate coming up and contenders also being a part of that, with Owl being thrown in the mix. There's so many things to try and work around and just make function. And hopefully sooner or later I'll be able to not have to have the day job, and things like this can happen a lot more, maybe even quarterly, which I would really love to actually do. In addition to some content that I'm working on now, talking with Univeth and other staff members, that's more so in the collegiate realm, which I'm really looking forward to. But overall, just being a part of this and having all of you come together and just have an exciting time and have moments that are extremely important to you, I'm very, very grateful for. The support from each and every one of you truly is just unrivaled, and all of you have literally made this exciting for me constantly, day after day, and I'm eternally grateful. So major congratulations to Kraken claiming this lower SR bracket, while we did have category 6 claiming yesterday's in the upper SR bracket. What I will look to do is really put together a survey, again getting some input and feedback in what was most exciting about it, things to correct. We always do want to go into the right direction to make this a little more exciting each time and elevate it. I know our production staff, Uni plus Sammy and others who've worked on the package that we've had, going to continue to look to elevate it. Something I really want to do as well. Also, with the formatting, I know it did change drastically last minute because of Owl and because of some of the SRs. I know there's still tweaking that needs to be done. I do still have to work through that. Again, finding the, level of divisions with the number of people that we have, bringing people into the community, coming through the, the Twitch channel. There's so many different dynamics to try and make it as fair and as exciting as possible for everybody. So again, I truly do appreciate all of your understanding as we go through this. It is a hop, skip, and a jump every time we do it, but hopefully always a hop, skip, and a jump closer to a more successful tournament. So that's it from us here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I will look to see you back on regular stream, most likely on Tuesday or Wednesday this week. There might be a couple of things preventing me from having one of those days. I will let you know in the near future. So take care. Happy gaming. Make sure to submit replay codes if you haven't. Again, we need them before the patch date on Tuesday morning. So if you can get those to us by tonight or early tomorrow morning, myself and other staff will be able to go through them to make sure that we save them for a highlight reel. So take care. Happy gaming. It's been a pleasure, and I'll look to see you next time, friends.